Hello, everyone. I'm back after a while. Took a little bit of a summer break, if you will, but I'm back now with some very exciting news and actually some follow-up on the most recent, not really recent, but the most recent in chronological order, Take One episodes we've been doing about the launch of ESPN Flagship, which is now referred to as ESPN Unlimited. It launched yesterday, so it launched Thursday, October 21st, in time for college football season. What was interesting is Wednesday night when I um, logged into Disney Plus on my television, so I guess maybe it was a little bit earlier on Wednesday. I had the option to sign up for ESPN Unlimited, and I was given the option for $38.99 a month for the first 12 months. After that, it would go up to $45.99 a year, or I'm sorry, 45.99 a month. And that was for Disney Plus and Hulu with no ads, and ESPN Unlimited will always have ads because that's the way live sports entertainment works. That's how organizations and big studios are able to pay for the broadcast rights to show these sporting events. And then there is also a ad-supported tier that's $29.99 a month. That'll go up to $35.99 a month after the first year. And that's Disney Plus and Hulu both have ads. ESPN Unlimited obviously will have ads, as we just talked about. So what's really, really interesting about this, and we've been talking about it a lot, is uh, in anticipation for the launch of this ESPN, now called ESPN Unlimited streaming service. I had been talking about different strategies that the company, that ESPN and that Walt Disney Company through ESPN were using to try and entice people to sign up for this service. In particular, if you are going to have a standalone service, and this is ESPN Unlimited, includes everything ESPN, all ESPN programming, including ESPN Plus, the ESPN channels, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, ESPN News. It has the SEC network, the ACC network. You're going to have select access to NBA games, NFL games, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, National Women's Soccer League games, NHL games. Um, but if you're going to have a service like this, and it's going to be something that people access a la carte, and you are the one who are going to be supplying this, ESPN really needed a lot of content on here. And so the Walt Disney Company through ESPN have been negotiating over the last probably 7 or 8 months about what content would be on this service. And we know about the failed venture between Disney and TBS or Max, and Fox to try and have their sport events or their sport content included. We know that was blocked for antitrust reasons. But more recently, ESPN and the Walt Disney Company had been negotiating with different groups and different leagues to have content on this service. So, in particular, a few months ago, we talked about Major League Baseball and ESPN. They had walked away from their current agreement for Sunday Night Baseball. And believed that was because they were going to renegotiate to try to get more Major League Baseball service on ESPN. And then about a couple weeks after that, I had read an article that from the Streamable that said that Disney and ESPN were in advanced conversations about including Major League Baseball or MLB TV on the ESPN service. Now, that is all the out of market games for ESPN. And so if you are a fan of a team that's not in your market, your baseball market, then you would be watching MLB.TV, which is what I do. And this was going to be huge to include this on the ESPN service. What's really, really interesting is yesterday I had read another article on the Streamable that said Major League Baseball and NBC Universal were close to having they were in talks to have MLB on their services. Well, now I literally had to re-record this take one video because about 40 minutes after I recorded the first time, I got another message or another article from the streamable that says Major League Baseball and ESPN agreed a new deal as other negotiations continue. And so basically, what is going to happen if this deal goes through is what we know as MLB.TV, that content will be available on this ESPN Unlimited service, which will be huge. And we don't know if it's going to be an extra service or if it's going to be an extra charge or if ESPN is negotiating with Major League Baseball to sort of take over MLB.TV. So it's yet to be seen if you are not an ESPN fan maybe if you will be able to have an MLB.TV subscription separate of ESPN, or if that's just going to be included in this ESPN Unlimited. If it is, that could be the thing that pushes me over the line to purchasing ESPN Unlimited and going with the package that they're putting out. In addition to that, ESPN will have the in-market rights for five Major League Baseball teams, which include the Arizona Diamondbacks, Cleveland Guardians, Colorado Rockies, Minnesota Twins, and San Diego Padres. These were the five teams that their regional sports network, or RSN, uh, essentially got taken over by Major League Baseball because RSNs were not doing very well. And a regional sports network, that is basically what shows a lot of the local content, the local sports content. So that's a huge development if that deal goes through. And on top of that, a few months ago, we had talked about ESPN having a deal with FanDuel Sports Network for some of their regional sports networks. And so if you're one of your local teams, like the Memphis Grizzlies is on FanDuel Sports Network, the Anaheim Ducks, the Los Angeles Angels, those two teams are on there as well. So that content could very well be available on ESPN if everything goes through with that deal. And now a message from Cody's Inner Dialogue. Hey, Inner Dialogue. Yeah, what's going on, Cody? Did you know that the Prospectus Files releases October 1st? Ooh, you finally finished it, huh? Yeah, I did. Thanks for that, Inner Dialogue. But yes, I guess I did finally finish it, and it's going to release on Amazon October 1st. And in preparation of its release, I made a promotional movie that I thought maybe we could watch together. Ooh, can I do the voiceover? I'm not real sure about that. Oh, come on, let me do the voiceover. I guess if you stick to the script. Yeah, of course. All right. Are you ready? Yeah. All right, here we go. Play. In a world. Okay. What? That's not sticking to the script. Inner Dialogue, that's not what it says. I was making it better. Just stick to the script. Okay, fine. Go ahead. Stick to the script. Got it. All right, here we go. Play. The Prospectus Files by Cody Havert. Jules Solitan and Elliot Clark are high school students leading normal lives. When they find out their roles in a secret organization, things get very interesting for the two. Alongside a cast of agents, experts, and mentors, Jules and Elliot work to preserve society as we know it. Follow the adventure to see if they can work together to protect the world. The Prospectus Files, coming October 1st. How'd I do? Well, that was pretty good. You stick to the script pretty well. Good job, Inner Dialogue. So yeah, everyone, the Prospectus Files is available in paperback, hardback, Kindle version on Amazon beginning October 1st, and you can pre-order the Kindle version now if you would like. So thank you, everybody, and back to our show. With the most recent negotiation, and this deal obviously has to go through regulatory steps, all of these do, but ESPN or the Walt Disney Company through ESPN is going to have ownership over NFL media. And that means they're going to be able to show some of these games in perpetuity. They're going to have more access to NFL games. It also means that the NFL is, as part of that negotiation, if this deal goes through, they are receiving up to 10% of Disney's ownership of ESPN. So previously we had discussed how ESPN is owned 80% by the Walt Disney Company, 20% by Hearst Communications. If this deal with NFL Media goes through, then that presumably would mean ESPN would be owned 70% by Disney, 20% by Hearst Communications, 10% by NFL, which is huge for a professional league to actually have enough cachet that they own part of ESPN. And will other leagues follow? Do other leagues have the type of cachet that the NFL does? The NBA possibly, but the NBA also has just entered into their newest collective bargaining agreement. So there's to be seen what's going on with there. And another interesting thing is Fox One also launched yesterday to get ready for the college football season. And so if you are a fan of a Pac-12 team, the Pac-12 network is on Fox One. If you're a fan of a Big Ten team, the Big Ten network is on Fox One. I had openly questioned, sort of hoped that maybe like things like the Big Ten Network and Pac-12 would be available on ESPN Unlimited. A few weeks ago, a report was out that there was on October 2nd, ESPN Unlimited and Fox One were going to launch a bundle together, which seemed like maybe it's the same cost point as the ESPN Unlimited version that you can get in the bundle now with Disney Plus and Hulu without ads. And so there are so many different areas and so many different questions to be asked. We still don't know what's going to happen with the Savannah Bananas. They are coming up on the end of their season. I think they released a video yesterday that I believe maybe October 8th or 9th. They are announcing their two new teams for the 2026 season, and they're announcing their whole 2026 schedule for the 2026 season is going to be the launch of what they're calling the Banana Ball Championship League. So this will be six teams. They will travel around. It'll be the same show as you've seen prior. If you've been able to go to one of those games, if you haven't been able to go to one of those games, I don't know who the Savannah Bananas are. A few take one episodes back, you can listen to my take on being able to go to a Savannah Bananas game in Nashville, Tennessee. Very, very fun. It's a very, very good show. And in that Take One episode, I had also talked about how I could very well see the Walt Disney Company owning, at least in part, some of the Savannah Bananas, or at least the Banana Ball Championship League, because that is a way to own a league and you own this content. Whereas with Major League Baseball content, with NBA content, with NHL content, with a lot of NFL content still, even if the NFL media deal goes through, you can't really show that content in perpetuity. Now, what's so interesting is if ESPN starts entering into all of these agreements like they are with NFL media, they have more rights to show things in perpetuity. However, you are a distributor, you don't necessarily own the product. They will own, if this deal goes through with the NFL media, they will own part of that product. But they wouldn't presumably be able to show games that are shown on CBS or on Netflix or on Amazon Prime Video. They would be able to maybe show what is on ESPN Unlimited and what they have ownership over, the rights over. They would be able to show that in perpetuity, possibly. But if you own something like part of the Savannah Bananas or the Banana Ball Championship League, and you actually had ownership over that, you could show those in perpetuity, much like right now what Apple TV Plus is able to do with Major League Soccer games. You can go back and you can watch those. They don't have to be live. You can watch them on replays. You can watch them weeks or months afterwards, whatever you want. And so there are so many things that are still up in the air and so many questions to be answered. One in particular, the last one I'll touch on is what's going to happen with Hulu. An announcement was made that first, Hulu is going to replace the global brand Star, so that outside of the United States, people will, instead of having the brand Star, they'll have the Hulu brand and try to expand the Hulu brand around the world. But then there's also talk about Hulu possibly being kind of dissolved into Disney Plus. Does that mean that it's going to be a separate charge like it is now? Does that mean it's going to be included? It seems like from the discussions I took from it that it would be included in the Disney Plus price. And then I would imagine you'd still have a separate tile for Hulu so you could access some of the kind of more general entertainment because Disney Plus still does have that perception of being a entertainment option for families with small children, whereas Hulu is that more general entertainment option. Um, but we'll see what happens with that. And the fact that they have released this bundle now with Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Unlimited for in the offers for 12 months, does that mean we can expect Hulu to be separate at least for the next 12 months until August 2026? Is it going to happen before then? What's going to happen with Hulu? Is a big question for Disney Plus as well. But so as you can see, it's rapidly evolving. I will do a better job of trying to kind of break some of this stuff down and give thoughts on this so that we can have more robust conversations about this. But it's really really exciting news that ESPN Unlimited is here. If you are a subscriber to ESPN Unlimited, I would love to hear your comments, your discussion over your experience with ESPN Unlimited, and especially if you have the Disney Plus Hulu ESPN Unlimited bundle. So that's all I have for today, and thank you everybody. Have a great rest of your day.